Stop making these mistakes in Path of Exile 2. Some of them can absolutely destroy your character to the point there's nothing you can do about it. And I know because I've basically made all of them at this point. Make sure you're not making these mistakes or your character could potentially be ruined. The first mistake I'm going to start off with is the Ascendency decision. Now, some of you that have gotten ready for this game already may understand this, but as of right now, if you choose an Ascendancy for your character, it's permanent. There's no going back and changing it. Each character has 2 Ascendancy options. The Warrior here has where you can choose between Warpath and Titan. Now, both of these Ascendancy options have different skills that they have available that you can then spec into later and will be prominent in how powerful or not powerful you are in game. And if you choose the wrong one here, you're going to take your already build that you're already down the path for, and you have to completely rework it and change the way your playstyle is for your character to match your Ascendancy, which is why you need to do research and pay attention to which one you pick. Now, if you haven't ascended with a character yet, eventually once you get to Act 2 is where you'll finally be able to ascend your character. And once ascended means you'll get this brand new extra little addition to your skill tree, giving you some more power options. Once you get into Act 2, eventually you will find this relic item. This relic item will give you a quest that you can't miss that will take you to Trial of the Secamas. Once you get here, you will go through a trial. You have to insert a relic, and then once you insert that relic, you'll have to go through a trial and complete it all the way to the end. This trial is filled with a bunch of individual things. That means you have to complete the objective at the beginning of each section while avoid getting hit. Each time you get hit, a certain percentage of that health lost takes away from your honor bar you have at the bottom. Each time you get hit, you lose honor, and if you lose all of your honor, the trial is essentially over. So complete the objectives, avoid losing all of your honor, and as you get to the end of each section, you can take a key, which will then grant you some loot towards the end of the dungeon. I recommend taking every single key you can find. The bronze key, silver key, and gold key give you better gear in that rarity order. There are also these other icons here that give you replenished honor at the end of those dungeons, so you can take those dungeons if you feel like your honor is getting too low and you may not pass the trial. Now, once you get to the end of this first trial of the Secamas, it's going to allow you to take your ascension. Once you take this, you'll get the option of both ascensions. Make sure to either research your build to figure out which kind of way you want to go, or seriously look at the skills and look at each skill and see which might be the best option for which route you're going with your build. Again, you cannot switch this once you've chosen it. Once you've done this, it's finalized, it's written in stone, so make sure you don't do that. There's nothing you can do. Enjoy or make a new character. Don't make that mistake. Speaking of something completely OP, I want to introduce today's video sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is a cybersecurity company that takes personal pride in protecting your online privacy and security. Tons of websites host malicious links that can be clicked on and have your information stolen, and it happens often every single day. Surfshark offers one of the best VPNs on the market. The first great benefit of a solid VPN is being able to check out either any censored content that you may not be able to either view in your country or your state. The second VPN benefit is that you're completely anonymous when browsing on a VPN, and some of the best pricing at only $1.99 for the starter VPN per month and $3.99 for the VPN and all the fun tools that include antivirus, alerting, and data removal. You can't even pay that little just for the antivirus nowadays itself. You can use it on unlimited devices. Meaning if I have 2 phones like Kevin Gates or 10 computers at home and a laptop, you can use it again on unlimited and all of your devices. Check the link in the description to try Surfshark and an additional 4 months of Surfshark that you can go download right now. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, Surfshark, for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Now, the other mistake you can use early is not using your orbs and not using them correctly. Once you begin to progress through the game, you get a bunch of orbs here and additionally a bunch of shards. Now, the biggest thing here is you will constantly collect these orbs, especially some of the more common ones later. For instance, once you get to level 40, you will be seeing orbs of augmentation on the ground everywhere, and you will have so many of them, you'll never be able to use them all. The same goes for the Orb of Transmutation. Eventually you'll get so many of them, it's completely overwhelming. So in the earlier levels, your gear is the most important thing. Some characters like the Warrior, who only have really their regular attack to take down single target bosses early on, absolutely need the best gear possible to make it through the earlier stages of the game without wanting to cry themselves to sleep. This is where some of these orbs come in. So as you find them early on, especially unless you find some of the rare ones, like maybe the Exalted Orb, a Regal Orb, or even the Orb of Alchemy, where you can upgrade a normal item to a rare item with 4 modifiers. Take some of these other ones like the Orb of Augmentation and Orb of Transmutation, use them up as you need. The difference between having a regular weapon like maybe this maul, if this is all the stats were, and something like this, or a magical item with these bonuses, especially early, is the biggest power differential in the entire game, and will help you clear a lot of the early and mid game content much quicker. So if you find some of these item levels work in breakpoints and get more powerful, so if you find a better normal piece, again, you can use the Orb of Transmutation to change that normal item into a magical item and give it 1 modifier, and then use your Orb of Augmentation to add a second random magic modifier to that item. Get 2 magic modifiers for free, because trust me, you're not going to need these later on. You have way too many of them. Additionally, you can use these other orbs like the Orb of Alchemy if you want. If you get to a point where you're struggling and can't get a weapon that can handle whatever boss you're trying to fight and you need to do it, you need to do it. You'll find more eventually. But what's worse, losing a rare orb or being stuck on a boss for 12 hours. The next big mistake you can make are using your skills and your skill gems incorrectly. And what I mean by that is a couple of things. Let me show you. So if we look in our stash, you, like me, if you've been playing it, probably done the exact same thing. And that is this right here, where you find a skill gem and you've been stacking it to the moon. Well, once you level up, you eventually get higher and higher skill gems in higher level areas as you continue to level. Now, for instance, we currently are finding these level 10 uncut skill gems, meaning if we right click on this, we can upgrade any of these things to level 10, which essentially means that you're going to continue finding level 10 gems in the higher level areas until you go up and then get 11 and 12, etc., making all of these completely useless. So please do not save these uncut skill gems. So seriously, once you get these, use them, upgrade your skills, make your character more powerful, because saving them does nothing. Now there's 2 other options. The same goes for these uncut support gems as well. I'm currently finding level 2 support gems. So when I right click, I can now use them on these level 2 support skills or the level 1 support skills. I can use it for anything lower than the current level it is. Meaning if I have any level 1 support gems, you can save them if you want. So that way you can use your level 1s for level 1 skills and level 2 for level 2 skills. So this is one, if you want, you can save some of the level 1 support gems and level 2 support gems separately. Same for level 3 once you get there, because ideally if you have a level 3 support gem, you can use it for here. But if you only want to use it for a level 1 support skill, you can use one of your level 1s just to make it simple, so that way you don't have to search for these, because these support gems are a little bit harder to find, showing why I don't have as many of them. And going higher up in level and area, you'll continue to only find level 2 until you get to level 3, and then you'll only find level 3 from here until infinity. And then also using your spirit gems. Now as you get these are probably the most rare gem, but as you find them, you can use them or save them if you don't know what you want to use them on, but you want to find at least one skill you can definitely use that's beneficial to your build, and go ahead and continue to use it and level it up. These are persistent buff skill gems, meaning if you select the skill and then go into your skill menu and right click to activate that skill, it will then give you a permanent buff which will apply whatever stats here, which in my case is exploding a lot of enemies on my screen. You can then apply different support gems to them to make it more powerful, and this is always active as long as you have it activated. Keep in mind, you need to activate this. I went through 20 levels of guaranteed what would have been probably much easier content if I actually right click to activate the skill, thinking it was activated automatically. It's not, and it will show up here in the top left corner as activated with whatever actual buff you're getting. Now, when it comes to support gems, you should go on Mobalytics, which I have linked in the description, and plan out your build, please, because it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of stress of wasting gems, wasting time trying to figure out what you're doing. It's way easier you plan your build out that way. The reason I say that is because you only have so many support gems, especially as you level up, and you'll want to make sure you're slotting the most important and beneficial support gems into your skills. For instance, Bone Shatter. Bone Shatter is a solid skill that allows me to clear packs of mobs, but it wouldn't allow me to clear packs of mobs near as well if I didn't have the Impact Shockwave skill on it. That way it creates a shockwave and deals tons of damage to every enemy around me. And then with Herald of Ash activated as a persistent buff, it deals even more damage to all those enemies, exploding all of them, clearing the screen in one hit. So you need to make sure you plan these out and use the proper support gems. But there's a couple of tricks and mistakes with these support gems you can also make. So as you can see, if I right click on this uncut support gem and I select my skill, let's just say Mace Strike, I have these support gems that I can pick from that can particularly help this skill. One thing that wasn't really explained well is these are actually just recommended gems, as you can see in the bottom left. If you actually uncheck show recommended gems, it shows you all the gems that can currently be activated on this skill. If you were to go to all gems, this shows you a list of all the gems you currently have access to. Now, I wouldn't use this all gems menu because you can, for instance, select this Ingenuity gem and go ahead and actually engrave it. But this doesn't tell you that if you have Ingenuity on another thing like Leap Slam, for instance, it's not going to tell you that in this all gems menu. So if you do that and then go to put it on Mace Strike, you already have it on another skill. It's not going to let you do that. The same goes for if you don't have these stat requirements to do this either. All gems have stat requirements. You can see the support requirements for the green ones are dexterity, meaning if you have 2 green gems like I have here between all my skills, they both require 5 dexterity, meaning you will have to have a total of 10 dexterity on your character, which I have 12 of currently. And you can show that's shown here by the amount of dex you have, so you don't have to go and calculate it yourself. I have room right now for 1 intelligence support gem, 2 dexterity, and 25 strength gems. Again, that 1 intelligence gem slot is coming from my 7 intelligence because I only meet that 5 threshold. And then 128 strength, I meet the 125 threshold, which is why I have room for 25 support gems. So keep that in mind. If you don't have room for the support gems you need up here, you either need gear that gives you strength, dex, intelligence, or whatever attribute you're looking to get, or you'll have to go on your passive tree and go and change some of these passive points to give you bumps in those attributes so that way you can actually have room for the support gems you need, which if you need, you can go to the hooded one at any major town area, refund your passives, and come in here and refund any one of these passives you need. Keep in mind, as you begin to level up, they get more and more expensive to refund, which can get really, really pricey. If you select a skill and just uncheck show recommended, again, it shows you all of the ones you can currently qualify for. Meaning if you pick this support gem, you can 1000% put it on the skill you have selected. Now, the next big mistake is gearing and gold, especially stuff to do with the vendors, because earlier game, there's a couple different ways you can look at this that may actually affect your progress. So earlier and even middle game, you'll come across certain items. So once we identify these, you can see we have magical items here, but earlier in the game, you'll find a lot of items that aren't magical. You have a couple of options. So early game, it's going to be best to sell a lot of the things you get so you can stack up on money, because especially early game, you'll more than likely at some point have to buy a better weapon or a better piece of armor to help you get past an area or help you get past some sort of boss that you're stuck on. So very early in the game, it's best to sell your stuff for gold for buying better items. Once you start getting to the middle game, like maybe level 20 and on, you really then want to start focusing on, instead of buying items from the vendors, actually going to the vendor and disenchanting the items. Now, one thing specifically here is if you disenchant an item like this maul, you can actually select this, you will get a transmutation shard. Eventually 10 of those becomes an orb of transmutation, meaning you can then upgrade a normal item to a magic item, meaning you consistently upgrade regular gear to magic gear, helping you on. So if we accept this, we can see we get this transmutation shard. Now, if you actually do this on a yellow item, you can see if we disenchant this rare item, we actually get a regal shard. Now, a regal shard turns into a regal orb, which is way better, and it upgrades a magic item to a rare item, which allows you to get a lot more potential great affixes and much more powerful gear this way. So especially yellow gear, once you find you have enough gold, then you're not necessarily worried about it. You want to start doing this so you can start stacking up these regal shards for regal orbs, because you're going to need them in the later mid game to end game. Now, if you find something like this with sockets, if it's on the ground, it will have a little icon on it showing that it's a socketed piece. If you find a piece that is socketed on the ground, make sure you pick it up and come to salvage it. Do not disenchant these pieces that have sockets, especially multiple sockets. Come over to the salvage bench, click on it, and then click on the item with the sockets to salvage it. From there, you actually get Artificer's Shard. Once you get 10 of those, they will turn into this orb right here, this Artificer's Orb, where you can then add a rune socket to a weapon or piece of armor in your choosing. You want to stack up on these because as you get more powerful gear, you're going to want to be able to put sockets on your gear, and you have to have these in order to do it. And the best way, especially to start on that early on, is by salvaging those socketable pieces and making orbs of them that way. Keep in mind, if you put any of these runes or anything like that in a socketable piece, I don't believe you can take it out. So once you put it in there, it's in there forever. So make sure what you actually want to socket on your gear is what you actually want to socket. Also, keep in mind your armor scrap. as you find pieces that have plus the quality on them, they will say plus a certain amount of quality. If you find pieces like that, you can use them at the salvage bench and salvage them for armor scrap, as well as find it in the world. Now, if we take one of these, it actually improves the armor quality up to a maximum of 20%, I believe, for each time. So if we want to use this, let's say on our boots, if we use it on our boots, we get +3 quality, and it upgrades all of the basic quality of the gear by that +3%. So that way, if you find pieces like that, you can salvage them and then use those pieces to upgrade your current armor to make it a little bit more powerful. Those are the biggest mistakes in Path of Exile 2 so far that I've ran into. If this video helped you out, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out either one of these Path of Exile 2 videos.